Lauren Miller says she chooses to learn from the past, yet keep moving forward. What is your position now? Are you going to continue to build your house, and you're staying on, focused on your present task, which is to have your daughter?
I understand. Everybody has different points of view, and everybody's allowed. One of the most important things, one of the most interesting things my mom told me is, growing up, is like when Europeans came here, they had no concept of liberty and being able to have their own opinion. I mean, that came from our people, and I respect that. But I hope everybody will look at the larger picture, not just interpersonal anger or whatever it may be, and be able to see each other on a more human level, so we can work stuff out. I still have every right to build my house. I don't intend to stop building my house. I'm really trying to get ready for the arrival of my baby. I think anybody who is a mom or a dad or an auntie and uncle can understand how scary just that concept is. No matter where you're from, it's pretty daunting and pretty scary and pretty awesome at the same time. And I really want to make this community a place where my daughter is as proud to be part of as I was growing up. When I went to the Olympics, I just was so proud to be from Kahnawake. And I'm still proud to be from Kahnawake. And I want her to feel that way. And I want her to feel like a complete member of this community. And I just think we need to move on from the divisiveness that's sort of been entrenched and which we inherited from external forces and external laws, and get back to our great peace, which is what we held collectively. So I'm a strong believer in that, and I'm a strong believer in the good and positive nature of people in Kahnawake.
In other news, a fire broke out at the old survival school in the early morning hours. Regan, what details do you have about this fire?
Well, I know, first thing, it was early Tuesday morning that it happened, and I had heard the sirens coming, I live close to the highway, on the Old Malone Highway, so I heard the sirens coming, and I remember looking at the clock, and I was like, it's like 4:30, and then later on in the morning, I was actually watching television, and I seen it scrolling, at CTV News. So what I do know is the fire itself broke out in the early morning hours, like I said, again, around 4:30, and it was in the buildings that were adjacent to the Kahnawake Survival School old gym. So it was the carpentry building, the maintenance and art buildings, which were scheduled to be demolished anyways this spring. But the peacekeepers and the fire brigade are saying at this time that it is an act of arson, that they feel that it's strong evidence that it's arson. And you have to look at, in a short period of time in Kahnawake, there's been a number of fires that have been set throughout the community. So, last week we had the train tracks near the Clay Mountains. I think it was on a Friday afternoon into the evening. There was a huge blaze there, and they said that maybe that was started as opposed to like a spark being, coming off an ATV or something like that. So there are 10 remaining buildings, and perhaps the only former administration building and the cafeteria are salvageable for use by the community at this time. There was a quote that was made from the Kahnawake Education Center that says, "What occurred Tuesday morning was a very sad end to two buildings that many former students utilized and enjoyed during their time at Kahnawake Survival School." And you know what? It is a sad state when an act of vandalism, arson occurs in Kahnawake, especially at a historic site. Like, if those buildings were meant to come down, people feel that they should have been taken down in the proper the proper manner. But here, you had to send our crew that had to go out there, our firefighting crews,
firefighters,
and then there was other crews that had to be called in
from the surrounding
to help.
areas,
And then there was an issue with the water line. There was a break from St. Catherine, and then because of the I guess because it was so far out, there wasn't appropriate use of water or access to water. So it was a long 3-4 hours for our guys, and luckily nobody was hurt. But
And that's the
stuff
thing
is
is a
still
lot of
happening.
people don't realize that when it comes to arson is that those firefighters are putting their lives at risk every time.
Sure.
You know, no matter what size, no matter what location, they are, you know, risking, you know, their physical well-being, and that's what makes it so serious.
Especially over the past couple of weeks with the dry weather that we had before the snow that we had here. They were at quite a bit of fires, grass fires, sometimes twice, 3 times a night. And, you know, putting that amount of stress on a volunteer organization is tough. You know, kudos go out to the volunteer.
The KFB.
The KFB, absolutely, for doing an excellent
they
job.
do an excellent job, and they
Absolutely.
always do. But people have to keep in mind that these people have families, that they're here to serve and help the community. But they're humans, and they're, you know what I mean? They risk their lives, like you just said, every time that they go out. And the other thing is respect for the property in this town, respect for the history in the community. I think that there needs to be, you know, a serious look at the state of affairs in the community when it comes to acts of vandalism and you know, these other little things that are going
respect.
on.
It's
you know,
it's
it
a matter
really
of
boils
respect.
down to that. So so that's it for that story pretty much.
Okay, so finally, Mohawk TV sat down with K103 morning man Ted Bird for a fun-filled interview and asked some tough questions.
Yes.
All right, so take a look.
Hey Ganawage, it's Regan Jacob Stock here, and I'm sitting here with the legendary Ted Bird, who's new to our community, but not new to the radio forum. So we're going to get down and dirty with Mr. Bird. All the dirty little secrets that you're asking, Ganawage. So Ted, people are asking, first of all, how do you feel about coming to Ganawage since you've been on air now since Monday, but you've been here for about a week? How's it going for you?
It's going great for me. Everyone's been terrific. People have been open-armed, open-hearted, and open-minded.
So how did you end up in Ganawage? Like, how did this come to be, connection-wise? Like, people are saying, you know, how did this guy end up on our side of the river?
After I resigned from Shome, obviously I had to look for another job because I have a family to support. And I didn't want to move away from Montreal because I've been here for 25 years. My wife grew up here. My kids were born here. And so I started looking around, and I looked at the other so-called mainstream commercial stations in town, and it was actually Bobby Dallas, the former NHL hockey player, who's a friend of mine, who said to me, "You should call the station over in Ganawage and see if they can use you." I ended up meeting with Joe and Chuck Barnett, and then from there, Chuck, who's the operations manager of the station, took over, and we had a number of discussions and came to an agreement where I joined the morning show on K103, and here I am.
So when you say that you had resigned from Shome for creative differences, people are saying, well, you know, he's a big name broadcaster. Why settle for a little station like K103? And what were those creative differences, if you can speak more freely?
Let me tell you how it used to be, and maybe that will explain it better. It used to be when Terry and DeMonte and I worked together, and we were at our zenith as the top morning English show in Montreal. We never heard from management. They basically left us alone. But what's happening now is that morning shows, at least this is what was happening to me at Shome, morning shows are being very tightly controlled by programmers, and you have to clear everything with your program director before you can put it on the air. And I just don't believe in operating that way. I don't want to have to justify everything that I plan on doing. You know, I've done this for a long time, and I think I'm pretty good at it. Just let me go, and if it doesn't work, fire me.
So given the fact that, you know, maybe you're coming into Kahnawake at a time when there's a lot of community politics going on, and being from across the river, how do you feel about some of the political or social issues that are happening here from an outsider, and knowing that you're taking over a big show with a big listening audience with all this kind of looming in the community?
Well, I don't give the politics a whole lot of thought. I'm aware of the politics. Frankly, as an outsider, I don't think it's any of my business. I think it's important that I be aware of it. because it's a community radio station and the mandate is to serve the community. So if I don't know what's going on in the community, I'm not doing my job. But I mean, you know, there are going to be politics anywhere. It just seems like in a small town they're always magnified because everybody knows everybody.
Finally, what do you think that you are going to add to K103 and bring to the station in the morning show? Is it worth it for you, I guess?
It's absolutely worth it for me. I mean, it's worth it for me because I'm having fun.